Hello,
Hello.
welcome to The Truth Will Set You Free. I am your host today. My name is Linda Diane Wattley. I am so excited. Why am I excited? Because I have a very special guest tonight, Robinlynne Mabin.
Hello. Hi,
How
everyone.
are you doing?
Doing great. I am so crazy excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
And the thing about it, where do I start telling people about you? We know one thing, you are a veteran.
Yes.
Congratulations and thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
And what branch were you in?
I was in the Air Force for 8 years.
Wow. And what led you to go into the military?
Well, I was headed for trouble when I was in school. School, the curriculum didn't really hold my attention. And I was blessed enough to have a mentor that encouraged me to go in the Air Force. And so I went down with 16, and I went to the recruiter when I was 16 years old, and they were like, well, you have to be 17 to go in. So my mom signed the papers, and then when I was 17 years old, I was, no.
Was that a good decision?
Yes, a very good decision, yes.
And why would you say that?
Well, because it gave me a lot of skills, a lot of ethics, a lot of discipline that I think I would not have had if I didn't go into the military. And you look at people, their work ethics, and even how they live their values in their lives, you know, how they apply them to themselves. It's like, I don't even know what to say, but but no, I really appreciate the things that I gained from it, the strength of character. Yeah.
Even though it wasn't the greatest experience, but it was the best experience to get you to your destiny.
Yes.
You want to share what led you to be in a documentary with the people? Because we all like to know the truth.
Yes. Unfortunately, uh, I was raped 1 month after I got in the Air Force, and that led me to develop post-traumatic stress disorder. And it went untreated and undiagnosed for 20 years. And so I didn't know that I had it. So anyway, when I got out, I experienced homelessness for over a decade, drug abuse, domestic violence, just all of the things that you experience when your life falls apart because of PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. Um, when I started to go get help and I got the diagnosis, I encountered a woman by the name of Susan Avila Smith. And she's a big advocator for women veterans. And so she mentored me and advocated for me. And I began to advocate for other veterans at that point as well. And the work was so effective that it caught the attention of a movie director by the name of Kirby Dick. And Kirby Dick is the director that made the movie, the same movie that broke uh, the Catholic priest sex scandal.
Wow. And what documentary was this?
I forget the name of it, but
Was
it
it
was,
Secret War?
I'm sorry, my movie.
Your movie, right?
Used to talking about me. The name of the movie,
That's the only person I want to talk about today.
the name of the movie is called The Invisible War, the documentary. It's available, it's still available on PBS. It aired on HBO. It aired in the theater for 2 years. People actually went to the theater and bought tickets to see me in a movie.
But it had received a lot of nominees and awards also. I saw that.
Yes, it was the first documentary released into mainstream. It was debuted at the Sundance Film Festival. It was nominated for an Academy Award. Yeah.
And what was the main thing about it that people could walk away with, that it was important that it was made?
Two things. The experience, what we actually experience in the traumas. So they had several women and men, and they gave a little bit of our stories, just a little bit, and put it all together so that you got the whole picture. So you get injured by whatever trauma, and then they did a really good job of showing what we experienced with getting the meds, even getting it identified that we have PTSD, the struggles that we bear daily. And they also, the best thing that they did was they showed awareness on how the military just is not held accountable. And so the military has been letting the persecutors go free. And if you're married and the victim, they would give you an Article 15. You know, they really turn on the victims. Yes. And so this has been going on for a long time. When women have been denied medical care, when they go to report their rapes, they take all of their evidence and destroy it, disappear, and then they go on a big full-on out character assassination assault. You know, and they really protect their own, even though they're committing egregious felonies against our own. Yeah. And so because of that movie, Congress is now, they're in Congress now because there's no convening agency, governing agency over the military. And so we're taking strides to make changes of that right now. So that's one good thing that came out of the movie. And the fact that military sexual awareness is happening, and it happens to men and women. Yes, yes, yeah, and not just rape, but military sexual trauma, because we encountered some women that told us when they were out in Saudi and the bombs were going off, they would take showers 4x4, fully dressed. And when they had to go get food, and like you have to restock when you fire off all your ammunition. So they would tell them, well, you know, if you want to get more ammunition, you're gonna have to give it up. If you want to eat, you're gonna have to give it up. And so it was just really, really treacherous out there when you get out there in the field. All this stuff is going on, and there's no convening agency. So, and also another thing, when a unit is detached overseas, they have all their legal, all their medical and everything, but when they get called back to the States, they close all of the cases, whether they have come to trial or not. They close all the cases so that when they go back intact, and so a lot of the persecutors get off without any trials or anything. The victims are left standing there, and then they get back in garrison, and then they get an attack on their character and everything. It's really messed up. It's really messed up. So, yeah, the invisible war.
You are amazing. How did you walk away? You said you walked into being homeless?
Yeah, I was homeless, and immediately when I got out of the Air Force, I was homeless immediately. Yes.
So what was the first light that came on for you?
What do you mean the first? I don't know.
The first light that came on that PTSD didn't own your life?
Not until 10 years after. I was in an accident right out in front of the VA hospital, actually. I didn't even know that I could go to the VA for medical care. They don't debrief us and tell us these things when we get out. And so I had a boyfriend at the time, that he was a vet and going to the VA hospital. And we got in an argument, and when I got out of the car, he drove off and my hand was still attached.
Oh my God.
So I ended up getting dragged and hit my head. So they took me into the emergency room, and the social worker came in there and she was taking my history. And so when she found out that I was homeless, you know, that kind of flagged me. So she sat down and spent some time with me. So as she was getting my history, she was like, "It sounds like you got PTSD." And I just kind of looked at her, and she goes, "Well, do you know what PTSD is?" And I go, "Yeah, it's it happens to veterans when they go, you know, when they've been in combat." She goes, "Well, it also happens when people have suffered trauma, such as raped or anything." And so she says, "Have you ever been raped?" And so, and I told her about my experience. When I was in the military, I had got pneumonia. So I go to medical, to, what is it? Sick call at Wilford Hall Medical Center. Yeah. And while I was there, the building, they were doing construction. So another military member calls me back, and I didn't know it, they were under construction. So he has me in this room, and I'm waiting so long that I just finally fall asleep. And then the next thing I know, he's just standing in there. And when he came in there and undid his pants and everything, it just caught me by shock. And it happened so fast, and I'm like this. Then they're calling me. So I go out in the hallway, and they're screaming at me, "What are you doing out here?" And I didn't report it because I thought I would have been in trouble. You know, when we first go in, they get about fraternizing and stuff like that. And so I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't think that they would believe me. So I didn't say a word. And I hadn't told anybody about that incident until that woman in the emergency room asked me about it.
So you're saying you got out of the service. What did they release you for if it wasn't addressing that issue?
I served 8 years, full time, and my PTSD was untreated and undiagnosed. And matter of fact, there was a time that I began to feel that something was wrong with me, but I didn't know what. I had no idea what. And I was in the military, and I actually requested to go into mental health. And they told me, "You can go to mental health, but if you do, it's going to put a flag on your record. You won't get, you know, they have your performance reports." And so they go, "Well, your commander won't be able to sign off on your performance report. It's going to reflect on this, and you won't be allowed to re-enlist."
Wow, they just didn't want you to say anything, it sounded like.
So,
But they can't keep you quiet now, can they?
Not now. No.
Because you are helping other people.
I hope so.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you did that documentary. That's huge. And you're still helping veterans.
Yeah.
You're doing other things for veterans, am I correct?
Yes. Advocating. I still advocate. I help veterans get plugged in with their medical care, mental health care if they need. I help them through the application process, the claims process. We've seen over 1,000 veterans through the claim process, and we have a good track record of almost 99% of them with 100% disability compensation.
Wow. So do you really feel like there's any improvement with the care of our veterans?
No.
Really?
No. I think that they try, and they miss the mark, though. Number one, because they're cutting down on funding and stuff, and so when you go to get your groups and your therapies and stuff like that, a lot of times they only have interns. There's no doctors or facilitators there that can actually put on the different types of techniques and stuff that are available. So it's limited. And then when their medications, process is archaic. So they have a first line of formula of medicines that they give you, and they generally want to stick to that. And then number two, they still don't listen to the veteran.
The individual.
We can tell you best what we need. And what they do is they don't respond enough to the individual. They take the people and put them all in one box, kind of. So, you know, but overall, you can get a lot of great support and a lot of great help, but you have to do it with keeping in mind, chew up the meat and spit out the bone.
So what would you give them credit for as far as making a difference in your life?
The fact that they're striving to have so many programs, and they're always moving forward. It's easier to get the care now, especially for women. We've only had women's clinics open up for, I think, been 5 years or so now, that the women's clinics are opening up everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not just a veteran, you also into music. Your father got you there, right?
Yes.
So what is your music about? Tell us about that, because it seems like to me that's your joy.
I love music.
And you all over the world.
Yes.
Every day.
Every day. We've got Vibes Live Radio as well as other radio stations, 200 countries. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I got the radio station helping someone. I helped someone create and launch the station. And they said, you did such a good job. No experience, nothing in radio.
Wow.
I was growing into this big network. So, and we use that to help other ministries and other radio stations broadcast their shows and stations and sermons. We specialize in helping other people expand. And so we use the network for promoting other people and playing their music on the radios, to interviewing people. Oh my God.
And I remember you hit over 1,000, or what was that number? With your radio show, huh?
2 million.
Oh, excuse me.
Right.
Excuse me. I think I added to that number.
Yes, you did. Yes, I think you were the 178,000th listener. I don't know.
And see, you still haven't told us everything about you, because you are a minister.
Yes, I'm a minister. I love God. I really, 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 really love God, and He spared my life. And I don't even know where to tell you. You know, where to start with that. I actually wasn't even thinking about God. I was still using drugs, and I was in the middle of a big pile of crack cocaine, and I had an episode. I had a psychotic break and an overdose and a hallucination. And I ended up calling the police or the fire department on my own cell. And when they came, they were going to arrest me or stick me in the psych ward, because I was just going off. I was agitated and just out there, you know. So the paramedics had to take my blood pressure, and it was like sky high. And they go, oh no, we got to admit you. And when I got there, my kidneys weren't functioning. And so, but before they could treat me, I'm still going off. They can't even touch me. I'm just ranting and raving, right? About 2 hours, and they stuck me like way in the back of the emergency, out by the elevators. And I'm screaming, help me. Oh, I'm in trouble. Oh my God, he does not like it at all. I am in trouble. Help me. But I was crying out to God. And God was right there sitting with me. That's why I didn't like it. That's why I'm like, oh, he doesn't like it. But I was still going off, and they still couldn't treat me. So they had to shoot me with volume and knock me out. And I just laughed at them because I go, what's that? And they go, oh, it's some volume. I go, I told them I'm agitated. That's not even going to touch me, okay?
Right.
So 4 hours later, I was still going on, and they can't treat me, right? Finally, I conk out, and so they were able to treat me. When I woke up the next morning, when they should have arrested me or transferred me over to the psych ward, they released me and let me go home. And the Spirit of the Lord was upon me still. And I went home and I got rid of all the rest of my dope. And I went to church. And no one was more surprised than me though when I started getting the call that I'm a minister. I was like, what? Me? I'm the one that was just out there smoking all that crack, not even thinking about you, God. You know? Yeah. Yeah.
You say the Spirit was on you. How did you recognize it for where you had been?
I didn't. It took me a while to figure out. It wasn't even until a few days after that episode.
And you also so unique. How do you fit in with the norm as far as being a minister? Because you're a free spirit.
I don't. When I look at the Word of God, and remember the Word of God is more than what's just contained in here. Okay? And the Word of God was given to us in another language. But before it was even given to us in first form on the tablets that Moses carved, before that, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Okay? So when you look at the Word, I can only look at what God said and what Jesus did. And when I look at all of that, and I compare it to what the church, today's church says, you know, building fund, tithes, not the tithe, passing the plate, dressed like this, pastor's appreciation, pastor's wife's appreciation. I don't see God doing all of that. I don't see Jesus doing all of that. And there's too much between man and God, and I think it's not that hard, it's not that simple. You know, God says love everyone. He says forbear everyone. Why, when someone is different than us, do we want to cast them down and set them down? Okay? Talk about them. Oh, when they're doing good, they'll pop up, hey, right on, best friend and all that. But God says we're supposed to help one another. Okay? And the thing about that tithing, watch this. I have never seen Jesus pass no plate. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to tell you. So, do you remember your first sermon?
Yes. My first sermon was on that, how we should listen to him, not them. Them is everybody, experts, whoever. Them, they always have a lot to say. Okay? If you love me, you would do this for me. They use love to manipulate. They say a lot. But guess what? I've never seen them. And we live our lives by what they say. Who are they at? Where they at? Okay? And if you listen to them, you're going to be messed up. See, because they say, well, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Okay? Be careful. Are you discouraging us from helping one another? Things like that. See? Yeah. And it was more in depth than that too. Yeah, it was amazing too. It was really, I was shocked. I wrote that when I was in school.
Really?
I wrote that when I was in school, yeah.
So what's your goals now? You can have so many things going. Do you have a main thing you haven't reached yet that you're trying to get to?
Well, we are almost fully complete on the syndication of Robinlynne's production.
All right.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of radio content and podcasts in we're putting them in syndication. So we're really good and established on that. I have a book that's being written.
What?
Yes, there's a book that will be coming out within the year. And I also will be returning to public speaking and teaching and ministering, yes.
Because you have a lot to share.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
PTSD is just not all we are, is it?
No, it is not all that we are, though it sure can feel like it because we have to spend so much time trying to overcome it. I mean, I have to overcome it every time I wake up.
And you do.
Yeah.
What's one of the main things that you do just to get a grip on it?
Wait. It's like literally you have gears. So we have our brain, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, and then we have our reactions,
Mm-hmm.
and our perception, and all of that, and self-control, and so with the PTSD, they just kind of all don't line up. So I can have an experience, but have a reaction to it later. You know,
Wow.
I could be crying right now for something later. You know, they just kind of don't. So what I do is I just give myself time to come alert. You know, I'll reduce the stimulation so that I don't have more to react to. Turn the turn the music off, turn everything off, let everything settle. You know, because it always
right. So, like today, how was today? Was there any battles there today?
Yes, when I woke up this morning, it was one of those mornings. I woke up and it was just like, I can't describe it like feeling tired, but I just kind of couldn't make one and one make two that fast. You know, I don't know how to describe it, but you know, when I woke up today, I just felt a little slow. It's not so much as confusion, but a little detached, a little. And that's one of the things that I still have a hard time overcoming. Too much sensation, too much stress, and good things, exciting things going on, which I have a lot of that happening
right
now. The heart leaps with joy. But too much stress, too much input, too much stimulation will make me shut down like that. So I have to watch out for that too. So that's probably why I just had one exciting day.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think a person with PTSD should be married to a person with PTSD or one that's not married PTSD?
I think that if both parties have education and understanding and can really support each other and not tear themselves up, not the other person, but tear their own self up, then I think that two people would be ideal better than one person that doesn't have it. Because it's one of those things that like drug and alcohol counselors, how can you really counsel us if you haven't had that experience?
Exactly.
Have that compassion. And this PTSD, unless you have it, and it's different for everybody else.
And that's what people need to get in touch with. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But someone else that has it is only going to be able to understand that, to really support you through that. And then other than that, I personally think that it's not something that I should put. I think it's too much. And I let it be known early on with the people that I encounter that I care about what's going on with me, because it's a lot. It's too much for me to cope with. I've been in counseling and therapy for 30 years and I'm still going, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so unless they have a mindset, and they have to be really, really strong and very, very self-confident as well.
All the truth will set you free.
Yes.
We believe everybody have a truth that can make a difference for somebody else. Want to share a truth or two?
Yes.
That can make a difference for others.
Yes. Yeah, so I only hope that my sharing my experiences and my efforts to help people, I only hope it does help, you know, because people really, we don't have to suffer. You can live. You have to learn how to cope and manage, find what works for you, and
Mhm.
get with it. Mhm.
Get with it.
Yeah, and
Beautiful.
a lot of times with PTSD, it interferes and it impacts us so much and stops us so many times that we get it in our heads that, well, I'm just going to stop and I'm just not going to do anything, that way I won't mess anything up. Go for it, okay? Go for it. Just go for it. Don't worry about the lapses, okay? Everybody has good days and bad days, but you don't have to let it stop you. Please don't let it stop you. Please do not let it stop you.
And if anybody would like to get in touch with you for all the different hats you wear, how can they reach you without getting too deep with your life?
Yes. All they have to do is just turn on the computer. You don't even have to Google me. No.
Oh, that's true.
Vibeslive.com, VIBESLIVE.com. It's where all the radios and all that stuff is going on. And then Robinlynnesproductions.com as well.
Robinlynne,
Robinlynne's Productions.
and you are amazing.
You're beautiful.
I appreciate you being on our show today.
Thank you.
And if there's anything we can do to enhance your life, please let us know.
Okay.
And I look forward to sharing even more time with you.
Yes. I hope I can come back.
Anytime.
Okay. Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you for all those golden nuggets. Take care.